This, ladies and gentlemen, is the new Latitude Method 3 tree saddle. We've been waiting a really long time for this guy. It's finally out. I'm pumped to try it this season. One of the huge benefits that saddles bring over traditional tree stands is it gives you a ton of mobility in the woods. And what that means is you're super lightweight, you're mobile, and you can get into just about any tree you want to, where a traditional tree stand, you got a limited options on where you can put it. There's a couple awesome new features about this that are similar but different to the old Latitude. So here's the Method 2 that I've run for the last couple of years. Awesome saddle. I've loved it. Like I said, I've spent a ton of time in the field and in trees with this guy. And one of the things that I found a little bit difficult on the Method 2 was lining up the magnetic strips on the side. So obviously this is a 2-panel design. So what Latitude did is they took the traditional tree saddle that just kind of cradles your back area and split it into 2. So that way this can go under your legs and this can go above your back a little bit. So it's almost like you're sitting in a chair. Awesome design, super comfortable, super awesome. But once you're done hunting, a lot of the times you're kind of fiddling with this a little bit to try to get these magnetic pieces. I think there's 4 of them total around the top here to line back up to get this to sit back to where it needed to be. So what they did on the Method 3 was they changed it. They just ran one magnetic strip all the way across. So no matter how you pull this down and line it back up, it automatically wants to just magnetize back together. So that one's it's just one less thing you got to fiddle with as you're coming down the stand when it's dark outside after a sit or something like that. All you do is pop this guy down, pop it back up, snaps together just like butter. And one of the other things you're probably seeing is these rope keepers here. So on the Method 2, what you would do is you would get this system, which is pretty much like a little tether system that would connect your top panel to your bottom panel right here. And you could set that distance. So if I wanted my top band right here, my bottom band right here, I would just kind of set that distance once I got in the tree and get comfortable. And then every time I'd pop those 2 panels apart, it would go right to that set distance and you'd be set to go. So what they did on the Method 3, as you saw before, is you pull that apart and you can see those rope keepers right here. They're built in. They're not an add-on. They come with the saddle. They're actually ran on the inside of the saddle, the fabric here, right to the squeeze clip. So you can adjust your distance, like I said, between your bottom panel and the top panel, just so that it's in the exact same spot every time you're up in the tree. Gets you the most comfort. It just feels good. But the additional benefit that they added into this with the squeeze clip is they have this rope loop on the end here. And what this is really good for is bringing your climbing sticks up the tree as you climb. So that's the other complaint that pretty much every saddle hunter in the world has, is how do I get my sticks up the tree, right? People are adding things to saddles, trying to put rope around things or carabiners and clipping things up as they go up the tree so that they can have the sticks and not have to go up and down. But Latitude obviously thought this through a ton and just built that in. So you don't have to add anything. There is plenty of spots to hook extra accessories if you want to, but this is pretty much good to go right out the gate to get you up into the tree, with the exception of your sticks and your platform. So that's an awesome new feature of the Method 3. One of the other things worth noting is the waist belt system. So just like on the Method 2, they kept it on the Method 3, and it's their rope waist belt. The nice part about this, there's no metal. There's nothing that's going to clang around on your belt buckle, on other pieces of your saddle as you're walking into the woods. It does not loosen as you walk into the woods. It's very, very comfortable, and I wish companies made belts like this just for everyday use, because this is super comfy. And then obviously their butter bridge. This thing is super silky smooth. You got your AM steel keepers there just to keep everything in the right spot. It's kind of form fitted a little bit, so it'll kind of bend and stay the way you put it for the most part, which is kind of nice when you're trying to get stuff set up in the tree in the dark or in the morning or something like that. Butter bridge is awesome. Rope waist belt's awesome. Those are standard features of the Latitude stuff. Very, very nice. And there's one more feature, and I think it might be my favorite about the new saddle. If you're like me, you do have traditional tree stands that you have set up in permanent spots, but also obviously you use your saddle if you're going onto a new spot, or if it's public land, or if it's just a new spot you wanted to try on a different piece of property. But on the days that I do have my tree stand that I'm sitting in, oh, it's a puppy. Hi, puppy. I think you lost your voice, dog. But instead of using a harness system to tether myself to the tree like you would usually get in a tree stand kit, I'll use this instead and tether myself to the tree just like I normally would using a saddle. So what they did is they thought of the people like that, those hybrid hunters. And what they did is they concealed these leg straps. So obviously the leg straps have metal buckles because they need to. But what they did is they put them behind this bungee cord almost type material. So that way if you're sitting on a stand, because they did on the butt side too. So that way if you're sitting on a stand, nothing metal is going to clang against the metal seat on your stand. So that is it's just one more thing that a company like Latitude thinks about, because they are actually hunters. They're not just making products to make products. They're hunters and they're using this stuff. So they're making this product just like you would make it if you could. The Method 3 comes in regular or extra large size. It comes as a standalone saddle like you see here, or it comes in the kit with the pouch and the tether and lineman's rope too. Now, why would somebody choose a tree saddle over a normal tree stand? There's 4 main reasons. It's mobility, versatility, shooting, and safety. The first one being mobility. So this is obviously a lot lighter than a traditional tree stand. And in addition to this, the only things you really need are climbing sticks and a platform to stand on, both of which are a lot lighter than a traditional tree stand as well. So your mobility wise in the woods is a lot higher when you're using this versus a tree stand, because obviously you got to carry that in, and this is not a whole lot of weight to carry in. So now if you decided to pick up a Latitude saddle, there's a couple other things you need, like I said, to get in the tree actually. So I'm just reusing my dump pouch and my lines from my Latitude Method 2 since they work just fine. The ropes are going to last a long time. So I've got my tether and my lineman's rope in here. The other 2 things you're going to need is going to be platform and climbing sticks. So these ones are the Latitude climbing sticks. I love them. They're the carbon ones. Like I said, I've used these for the last couple of years since they came out. I love them. Not going to be changing anytime soon unless they come up with something super cool that I need to try. And then also the X-Wing platform. I love this one because it's super lightweight. It weighs literally nothing. Fits perfectly on the top of my pack right here. They did come out with the Profile and the Profile XL platform that I might have to give that one a try. Since I'm a bigger guy, the XL platform's kind of nice with size 13 shoes, so might end up giving that one a try this year too. But for now, this is kind of the setup that I'm going to be rocking with, at least early season. What we're going to do now is we're going to hop over to this tree. I'm going to kind of show you how to get stuff set up in the tree. We're not going to go all the way up, but I'll give you a couple sticks up and kind of show you some of the benefits of the new saddle and how it works in a real life setting. Okay, so the first thing you want to do once you get to the base of the tree is get your sticks untangled. And then grab your first one. So Latitude makes these with these amp steel ropes. They're super slick, super awesome. There's a specific way to tie them once you get it wrapped around the tree. Latitude has an awesome video on that. I'm not going to explain it here because their video is much better than mine. So what you do, you wrap it around the tree, you grab this side, and then you'll do your custom wrap job, which we don't need to zoom in on because I don't know if I do it right or not. And then push down on your stick, make sure it's set. So the other thing I have on here from Latitude is these step aiders. So obviously this is a 2-step stick. This basically makes it a 3-step stick without having the extra weight of an actual 3-step stick. So this is your first step. So obviously you get your boot in there and you go up just like that. But before you go up, obviously you'll probably have your pack on, your bow on, some other things like that. So what you're going to be doing is taking your second stick on your new fancy dancy stick holders. So I'm going to move that down a little bit. I'm going to loop that around the corner of one of the sticks, whoops, all the way up to the edge. And guess what? It fell out. And probably just loop it around more like that or something. That'll probably keep it better. The next step is going to be to wrap your lineman's rope around the tree. And the way I have mine set up is I have it tied to this, and then I have a mechanical ascender on this side. So I'm going to wrap it around. Kind of throw it to yourself. I'm going to loop it through this mechanical ascender on this side over here. So it can go through, but it can't come back out unless I lift up on this. And then, you get your foot positioned. Make sure you're tight to the tree. You take your first step up. Then you kind of move your lineman's belt up a little bit. Give it tight if you need to. And go up. And generally, I set my second stick when I'm on the bottom step of my first stick. So that way I have enough room to step up to my next step. So I get myself tight to the tree again, and at this point you can lean back because like I said, you're harnessed into the tree, nothing's going to happen. So you can then grab your stick off of your keeper right there, unwrap the next one, get it set up, wrap that portion, and then this is kind of where it's going to be personal preference. So you see where my aider starts right here is not very high above my last step. So what I might do is I might put this even a little bit higher, so that way there's more of a step between the top of this step and my actual aider. Somewhere around there is probably going to be my best bet. So like I said, once again, I'm going to tie this up, push down on it, make sure the stick is set good. Use my extra step aider up. And now I'm up, ready to hang my next stick. So like I said, we could keep going up. There's really no point right now since I'm kind of just demonstrating this, but that's kind of your system to get set up. So obviously you'd have one stick on your keeper on this side like I just used. You still have that keeper on the other side. So you can carry at least 2 other sticks. If guys have 4 sticks, you can find another way to hang them on too. You could probably double them up, but that carries your 2 extra sticks up with you. You'll probably have a backpack on, so that's probably where your platform's gonna be, probably on your backpack. So next I'm gonna climb down, I'm gonna grab my platform, I'm gonna set it back up where this top stick is, so that way I'm not too high off the ground when we're doing the video, and then we'll kind of show you some of the new features of the actual saddle itself. This gets you in a ton of trees. Like I said before, traditional tree stands, you're pretty much looking for a tree that's gotta be straight up and down with almost no branches all the way up to where you're gonna set the stand, unless you go out early season and you're cutting off those branches and you're prepping trees, which is awesome for permanent spots. But if you're a public land guy, if you're hunting a lot of different areas and don't have money to put tree stands in every single spot you wanna hunt in, this guy's gonna be your answer, because you can get in a ton of trees with some gnarly twists and turns, and you can be safe while you're in the trees. The next major benefit that saddle hunting brings is your shooting ability. So in a traditional tree stand, say this is the tree right here and I'm sitting in my stand, my shooting lanes are pretty much wherever I can hold my bow comfortably. So if you're right-handed like me, you're probably not shooting a whole lot this way. It's more of what's right in front of you and off to your left. So you kind of got to set your stand strategically to be able to shoot in those positions where your shooting lanes are. When you're saddle hunting, you're tied to the tree like this and you're hanging off the side. So you can shoot like this, but then the nice part about the saddle is it allows you to turn while you're in the tree stand too. So you'll be able to shoot all the way around here to your left side as far as you can reach. Also, you'll be able to twist back around and almost stand up next to the tree like if you were in a tree stand and shoot the remainder of that gap on that side. And sometimes, depending on the tree size, you can even lean over a little bit and reach the back sides too. So it just gives you a ton of options and a ton of versatility when it comes to your shooting paths. Like I said, you can get in just about any tree and shoot almost 360 degrees around it. The last portion of this is safety. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on back here. So like I said, if you're new to saddle hunting, this is intimidating, it's confusing. But pretty much what this means is you're tethered into the tree 100% of the time. From the moment you take your first step up on a climbing stick to the moment you're sitting in the saddle ready to hunt, you're tethered in the whole time. So no matter if you slip your foot off a climbing stick, if a tree moves a little bit, like whatever happens, you are attached to the tree 100% of the time. Versus a traditional tree stand, a lot of guys set them without being tied into the tree. A lot of the guys climb up without being tied into the tree, and they're only really tethered in once they get to the top. And for some people that works, but for me, I prefer to be tied into the tree as much as I can, so that if something were to happen, if I were to mess up, if the tree were to be slippery or a stick crashes out underneath me, I'm tied to the tree. I'm not falling, 15, 20 feet down. So like I said, one of the big benefits of these is safety. So obviously I've climbed up the tree. I'm still tied into the tree with the lineman's belt. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna reach into my pack right here. I'm gonna grab my tether. So what I do with this, the way I have it set up, I'm gonna loosen that a little bit. I wrap it around the tree about, face height, nose height, something like that. I'm gonna run this through, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clip this carabiner onto my bridge. Tighten that up so it can't come out loose. Once again, like I said, I'm using the mechanical ascender, so this is gonna be a little bit different if you have a Prusik knot. Get this tight, pull this tight a little bit. So then obviously, can't come down. Like I said, get it all tight, double check everything. And then what I can do now is loosen my lineman's belt and honestly take it completely off, because now if I'm sitting, my tether's got me. So lineman's belt comes off. Generally what I'll do is I will wrap this up in my hand, toss it back in my dump pouch so it's kind of out of the way until I need to climb down. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're saddle hunting. We're tied into the tree. I'm leaning back. I'm comfortable. I'll have my bow up here on the bow hanger. I'll have wrapped my pack around here once I'm completely set up. So I've got, all my snacks, because who doesn't have snacks in the tree stand when you're hunting? But this is it. It's as easy as that. Like I said, everybody seems very intimidated by it, and that's totally okay, because I absolutely was too when I first started. But like I said, once you get in a tree, once you're hanging on the saddle, it's very, very comfortable. So like I said, that's pretty much the extent of the Method 3. It's an awesome saddle. They fixed all the little minute details on the Method 2 just to make an improvement on the Method 3. It's super comfortable. It's going to be something I spend a lot of hours in the tree this fall for sure. Scouting for some deer, looking for some good spots to hang a set. But by the time this video goes live, these are available on scheels.com. So we'll have a bunch of these in stock. We know they're gonna go because Latitude makes a super high quality product. A lot of people love them, they're super popular. And this is no different whatsoever. It's gonna be a staple in a lot of people's kits this year. It's gonna be a staple in mine for sure. So check it out at Scheels because it's live now.